Yes, people, what's happening? What's happening, my folks? What's happening, my peoples? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another update video with your boy CJ from the Gunner's Corner. Yes, we are back. We are back for a sort of video with regards to what we're going to talk about is the hunter versus the hunted, right? And what that means in terms of the Premier League title race is Arsenal, who are the hunted, and Manchester City, who are the hunter. And now, what we're used to seeing over years and years and years is Manchester City being the hunter who 9 times out of 10, they chase down the hunted and they go on and they win the damn thing, right? Man City is they're that lion that's in the wilderness and they see their prey in their sights. They go and they hunt down that prey, and the prey has nothing they can do about it because the predator in Man City is just that strong. And it's crazy that we're here. We're in a time in 2026 where Arsenal Football Club, they're the hunted. And most times, you would say that's the position that you want to be in, right? You want to be top. You rather have the points on the board, as they say, as opposed to, being the one in second with games in hand, because there's always been this thing, right? In the last couple title races we've had with City, late down in the stretch, they've had, games in hand. They've been behind us on points, but they've also had games in hand. And we've always said as Arsenal fans, which is the correct approach, that you rather have the points on the board. The points on the board is more important, surely, right? To be in first place, to be top of the league, that's where you want to be. But not in this case, right? Under normal circumstances, that is a real thing. But when you are being chased by Man City, all of a sudden, it's a different feeling. It's a different kind of pressure. It's a different phenomenon altogether because Man City have won 6 of the last 8 Premier Leagues. We're talking about a team that whenever they've been in a title race, like I said, they win. They go on to win it. Whenever City is neck and neck with you, if they're just within touching distance, they've got in the bag. They see what's in sight and they go on and they win it. They don't care what's in their way or who's in their way. Liverpool is another example of a team that knows all about being chased. They know all about being the hunted. And Man City prefers to be in a position where they're the hunter late down in the season. That's when they come to life, right? Most teams, as I said, in a normal world, you take the case of being the hunted, but not Man City. They prefer to be the hunters. They'll bide their time. They'll make you think that, you're in the clear or you've escaped from their clutches, but somehow they just manage to reel you in and pull you in. And before you know it, you're in second place, second again, ole ole, and they've taken the crown, and they're the ones showing armpits in May, and they're lifting the crown. Liverpool have gone neck. The only let's be honest about it, right? The only 2 title races that Liverpool have won, or the only 2 Premier Leagues that Liverpool have won, are the 2 leagues where, there has been no title race, or they pretty much had the title wrapped up by December, halfway through the season, because the point spread and the points difference will tell you that, right? Liverpool in 2020 blew the league away. They were clear by Christmas, if not earlier. Nobody can catch them. Last season, the same, right? Obviously, Arsenal finished second in that season, but let's be honest, there was no real title race. Liverpool was clear. Arsenal was nowhere to be found. Yes, of course, like I said, we had hopes and desires late on in the second half of the season that, we can catch them, but let's be honest, we didn't do anything in January last season, and we had injuries galore. That meant we weren't getting anywhere near Liverpool, and they had it wrapped up last year. These times, the league was already pretty much done, right? It was Liverpool's, and it was only just a matter of time. They've never been in a title race, Liverpool, where they've actually won. And I'm talking neck and neck points differences are like, there's only a few points in it, and they've gone on to win. No, the 2 Premier Leagues that they have won have been leagues where they have been by far and away the better team in the division. And City has been certainly not City at all, has been anywhere near them in either of those 2 campaigns where they won the league. City have been nowhere near the level. However, in a title race against Man City, I don't think anyone is coming out on top. When it's truly a race to the finish, If you're going to be City in a title race, more often than not, you have to be clear, like I said, by halfway through the season or the start of the turn of the new year. And when we say clear, we're talking, you got to have a double digits lead, a clear double digits lead, you know, probably halfway through the campaign and sustain that up until March, maybe April, you know, double digits, clear. That's the only way you can truly feel safe. Let's go back to the 18-19 season for a second. Liverpool led 6 points halfway through the season. Sorry, they had a 6 point lead, Liverpool, halfway through the season in 18-19, and they went to the Etihad with, I think they had, yeah, sorry, they went to the Etihad with 51 points from 19 games. That's actually mad. But they went to the Etihad on game week 21 and they lost a narrow 2-1 defeat. And after that, they had a few draws. And after that, I think, yeah, after that, they had a few draws. And then by game week 29, it was game week 29, they were trailing to Man City. And again, we're talking about an 18-19 season where Liverpool had lost one game all season. They were one game away from going Centurions. Centurions. They were one game away from going invincible, rather, right? But they lost one game in 18-19, damn near close to going invincibles, and they still didn't win the league, right? That just goes to show the demon, the predator that is Man City. That title race went down to the wire, and it was unbelievable football that we saw from both clubs because they both, put everything on the line. I think that the season ended with 98 points for City and 97 points for Liverpool. They went literally down to the wire, and Liverpool lost one game against City at the Etihad, and that was enough to sink their title hopes. Can you imagine? After that, like I said, I think that was the point where their campaign derailed, right? Because again, they had a few draws, after that, and they stumbled. And then, like I said, by game week 29, City had taken over, and the rest is history, right? Yes, that still went down to the very wire, but again, once City, it approaches that part of the season where they just come to life in April, and if they're hanging around, if they're close to you in a race, you're not winning that race. And so where does that leave us now, right? Well, we're in a day and age where, again, being the hunted doesn't bode well for Arsenal because we have PTSD. We've been in Liverpool's position. Let's go back to 22-23 season, right? 22-23, we led City from game week 1 until April. So pretty much, I think the percentages are around 84% when I do the math and I look here on the graphics. 84% of the season Arsenal led 22-23. We were unbelievable that year. It was our first title race. We weren't expected to be in the title race. We had just signed Jesus and Zinchenko, and we led from game week 1 over City until April. And that's when City took over. That's when City once again came to life, right? And if you guys remember, when the pressure was on, we drew 3 games in a row, right? I think we had just lost Saliba and Tomiyasu through injury because they got injured. I think it was during Sporting Lisbon, funny enough, like in the Europa League. We were in the Europa League that season. We lost Saliba and Tomiyasu to injury. Saliba famously had that back injury. And then we went on and we drew 3 games in a row, right? After those injury blows. We drew 2-2 famously at Anfield. And if you remember, if we had won at Anfield, right? Many people said that we would have gone on to win the league. We were 2-0 up at Anfield. And then again, for those who were there to remember it, what happened for the equalizer? We were 2-0 up. Zinchenko got dummied, I think got megged by Trent, and then they equalized late in the game. And all of a sudden, from what looked like, us potentially going on to win at Anfield for the first time in how long to help lead us on our way to winning the league, that looked like a pivotal day where we dropped points at Anfield up from a 2-0 lead, came back to 2-2 we drew the game. And then from then onwards, we went on to draw 2 other games. I believe we also, in that sequence of 3 draws in a row, we drew against West Ham, it was, and we also drew 3-3 against Southampton at the Emirates Stadium. Again, famously where Ramsdale made a mistake, a couple errors at the back, trying to play out of the back. We drew that game 3-3. Southampton at home. that year, who was bottom of the league, you know? And then I think following that, not too long after that, we went and played City at the Etihad. Rob Holding at center back. I believe we lost 4-1. De Bruyne and Holland ran all over us. Um, Rob Holding at center back, eh? What a time. Because again, Saliba was still injured at that time. So some say injuries maybe derailed that campaign, but that was the first sign of us experiencing, and that was our first true taste of, leading a whole campaign, but keeping City in and around the mix. And they overtook us. And for what was looking like a brilliant campaign for us, City went on to win the league and cemented it by thrashing us at the Etihad 4-1 late in the season. It was probably also in April that game too. PTSD, man. I'm thinking about it now, and it's bringing up traumatic history for me there. But listen, man, we're here 2026, and like I said, from that being our first title race experience with Man City, obviously we had the same one the following season in 23-24, where first year back in the Champions League, we played Aston Villa late in the season, which was our only loss in the second half of that season. I believe. I know we went on an unbelievable winning run ourselves, right? And that's what it takes, and that's what it took to beat that machine of Man City at the time, is you have to go on unprecedented winning streaks to just maintain the level, right? That's the level that City had brought things to. And in that 23-24 campaign, right, our second title race, that second half of the season, we only lost to we were slapping teams, we were going to other stadiums and just clearing out stadiums, winning by 3, 4, or 5 goal margins. I remember famously us beating West Ham at West Ham's ground. Declan Rice went back there and scored a banger from range. We were emptying out stadiums. The chant was, stadiums are empty everywhere we go. Like, we were scoring goals, we were winning games, we went on long unbeaten runs. But again, I think it was around the time where we had to play Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And in between, those Champions League ties, we had Aston Villa at home at the Emirates. Arteta changed the team up a little bit, and we lost 2-0 at the Emirates. Bailey scored, I believe, the first, and then Watkins scored the second. And then after that, the rest was history, because we, in and around our unbeaten run, we didn't lose after that, and obviously we didn't lose before that for an extended period of time in the second half of that season. Villa was the only loss, I believe, for that second half of that season, or in the home straight, and it was enough to cost us the league, because that title race went down to the wire. That went down to the last day of the season as well, and City was damn near perfect. They were damn near perfect, and in the second half of that season, when they come to life and we keep them sniffing around, all they know what to do. They know the assignment. They just had to go perfect. And I say just, but for them, that's their bread and butter. They went perfect. We slipped up once against Villa. Um, take nothing away from the record in and around that. We were brilliant, but one game can cost you. And then all that good work you did, all the brilliance, all the records we broke that season, for unbeaten runs and so on, it came to nothing in the end, because City was that bit better than us. That bit better than us. So that was our second title race. Fast forward to, I guess, last season, right? Last season, 2024, 25. Liverpool won the league. We were never really in the race. As I said, we were in second place mathematically, and they're hanging around there by default, because somebody's got to take up the position. However, you know, we were nowhere near. Liverpool was pretty much clear. Again, we had injuries. We had a January transfer window that we chose to do nothing with, and Liverpool pretty much ran away with it. They were comfortable, well and truly comfortable. And City obviously was not in the race. City finished third that year, last season. They were nowhere near or being in the race, City, last year at all, right? So Liverpool ran away with it. If City was in any sort of mix for a title last season, would Liverpool have it as comfortable? No, no, they wouldn't have. So the point being is, when you fast forward to now, right? Just like Liverpool last year, I mean, when you're in a position where you're comfortably in first place, all you need to do is focus on your own results. You're not really looking behind you. But when the race is close and you're in Arsenal's position currently, 2026, when the race is close, and City is chasing you. You simply cannot. I don't care what anyone says. Players and manager would be lying if they said otherwise. You simply cannot. You're not looking at your own results and focusing on your own results when you're the hunted. Because when it's Man City chasing you, it's the machine, it's the team that's won 6 out of the last 8 Prems. It's Pep Guardiola, it's Erling Haaland. So when that team is chasing you, you cannot be in the lead and just think about your own results. You're thinking have one one eye in the back of your head, two eyes in the back of your head, thinking about that shark, that lion, that juggernaut. When you're in our position, it's anxiety, but when you're in City's position, it's aggression, right? When you're in our position, it's panic. When you're in City's position, it's composure. They love it. They'll have it every day of the week. Where 99% of the world would be the hunted, they want to be in the first place. City will gladly be the hunter and be in second place until it's time to grab first. If it means the last day of the season, that's what it means for them. And that's the difference, right? If City is ever in a lead and Arsenal is in second, I don't think we're getting anywhere near them. But some would say that there's less pressure because, you know, maybe when we're hunting, maybe there's not as much pressure, maybe there's not as much narrative. However, us being in first place at the moment, all the narrative right now is that it's Arsenal's to lose, which creates even more of a, you know, rhetoric around where we are and, the fact that us being top of the league means it's ours to lose. Well, again, that just heaps extra pressure on a club and a team and on a manager who's never won anything of sorts. No Premier League. He's only got an FA Cup to his name. Arteta's never won the Premier League, and he's trying to be the first manager to do it for a club that hasn't won it in over 20 years. So the narratives change when it's Arsenal Football Club, right? Because of what we're looking to achieve, something that hasn't been done in modern times. When we're the hunted and we're top of the league, there's that extra bit of pressure. If we had won it previously, or if we had a couple of Premier League campaigns and wins to our name within the last 5 years, maybe even 10, then there's not going to be as much narrative. But when you're the hunted and you haven't won a league for 20 plus years, that pressure is louder, that narrative is louder. It becomes it's Arsenal's to lose as opposed to Arsenal's title race to win or to gain. Now it's about us not dropping the ball and not fumbling the bag as opposed to going, getting and snatching the bag. This should be a position that we're celebrating being the hunted. We should be happy being in first place. We should be joyful being top of the league, but somehow we're not. It just feels uncomfortable. Aside from the fact of, the way we're playing is not the greatest at the moment. It's that same team who has pipped us to title races previously, and it's the same team that's pipped Liverpool to title races previously. We've seen them do it in the modern era, and it's that fear of, oh no, here we go again, or oh no, it's happening again. And all of a sudden, it's the psychology of players, the psychology of human beings. It's natural, it's a science, right? So everything that we've done up to this point, the world-class back line that we have, the top quality midfield players that we have, right? Your Declan Rices, your Zubimendis. Again, when you go to the back line, Saliba, Gabriel, David Raya, all the good work that these players have done to this point, we're seeing them now fall off in terms of form, in terms of, you know, performance levels, making mistakes, uncharacteristic mistakes. Why? Because this is no longer September, October. This is April when the heat is really on, right? Even our four forward players, Trossard showed brilliant form first half of the season. What's happened to him? Falling off a cliff. Has the pressure gotten to him? Has the weight of expectation gotten to him? Have the number of games caught up to him? Have we put as a team, as a collective, too much into the first half of the season that we now are burning out mentally and physically when it really counts? You know, Saka the same. I know he's been disrupted by injuries lately, but Saka the same. Has he, when he's played Carabao Cup final, etc., when he's played, he hasn't looked like he looked like a shadow of his former self. And again, maybe that's down to injuries, but also maybe mental and physical burnout and fatigue as well. Odegaard, other creative players in the team, other attacking players in the team. Madueke. Where are we? Where are we to stand up to be counted? That's what we're looking for, right? That's what we're looking for the modern day, Will Tord moment. Will Tord at Old Trafford in '02, or, Thierry Henry moments, and, these guys, Patrick Vieira's and your Robert Pires, who's going to be the guy, the modern guy to stand up and take this team and help get us over the line, right? That's what we're looking for. But do the players have it in them right now, right? Odegaard, Eze, it's all well and good, playing out in the sunshine in the Emirates in September, October when you're playing Burnley at home, or when you're playing Bournemouth, or when you're playing Fulham. But playing Fulham or Bournemouth or Burnley in September is different than playing them in April, May, right? And I'm including the likes of Burnley and bottom of the table teams in that, because look at Southampton, as I said, in 22, 23, we drew 3-3 with them around this time that season. 3-3 at the Emirates, bottom of the table Southampton, so it doesn't matter the size of the game, it doesn't matter the weight of the team. At this time of the season, when the pressure is on, we could be playing anybody, and you don't all of a sudden just forget how to play football. You don't all of a sudden forget how to be a world-class defender, or a top-class attacking midfielder, or a top-class left winger. All the good work that you've done up to this point, this is the point where it really matters now, right? So it's all well and good doing it, like I said, on a sunny day in September, but we're here, we're here, and we're present. And what are you going to do? The heat is on in the kitchen. Are you going to burn, or are you going to put that heat, that fire out, pour cold water on it, stand up and rise above it? That's what the players got to do, you know? So the hunted, it suits us, but not when City's the hunter. The hunted sounds great. It sounds like you want to be the one on top that everyone is trying to look to chase, but not when it's Man City. When Man City is the hunter, 9 times out of 10, they get what they need. They get what they want. Now, listen, that sounds scary. It sounds doom and gloom, but we stand here, or we sit here. I'm sitting here at least today saying, on what date is it today? April 16th? Prior to the game at the Etihad, we have a chance to go there and to create our will toward moment. We have a chance for somebody to go there, put the game, you know, beyond City, if that's possible. But it is possible, because this is football. Everyone expects City to go over there and roll us on Sunday. But we can change the narrative. We can go there, get the 3 points, and get out of there, right? Who wants to be that modern day hero? Who wants to be the one that's going to be, have their name sung for years amongst the Arsenal community, because they were the ones that went and won it for us at the Etihad, and therefore we went on to go on to win the league. Who's going to be that guy? Who's going to be that player? Who's going to be that person? That's what we have in front of us. Talking about narratives, talking about, us having the weight of expectation because we're top of the league at the moment. Well, either you embrace it and you go in and make yourselves heroes, or you crumble. You crumble being the hunted once again, and the hunter chases you down. But go to the Etihad on the weekend and create some distance, right? Keep them at arm's length, even if it means get a draw. But obviously, you want to go there to try and win. Like I said, modern day Wiltord moment. We won the league in Old Trafford in '02. Wenger famously said he wanted to win the league as early as possible, and if it meant going to Old Trafford to win the league, that's what you got to do. That's what we did in '02. So why can't we do it now? We're in a fantastic position, and only will those players and the manager be the ones to see it through, or to fall at the final hurdle once again, because all that good work should not be, you know, crumbling now like the Jenga blocks. We can't afford to break down now. Who's going to stand up and be counted? So let's change the narrative. Let's go to the Etihad on Sunday. Let's get something from that game, and let's make ourselves well and truly, positioned to go on to win our first Premier League since 2004. It's going to be a massive game. It's going to be a massive end to the season. But, you know, the hunted needs to go and look ahead of us, as opposed to what's behind us, right? We are the hunted, but we need to look ahead and not behind. In all the other circumstances, in all the other cases, the hunted just continues to look ahead. But it's always hard being the hunted. It's harder being the hunted. right? So listen, let's go out, let's do it. We have to have full optimism. We have to have full belief. We're still in two competitions, Champions League and Premier League. Can we get over the line in one? Ideally, we need that Premier League, being the hunted for majority of the season. We've been in top of the league, but we're now in crunch time. Can we maintain it? Can we do it? Can we come through the heat? Let's see. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been CJ from the Gunner's Corner. I've been waffling on a lot, but it's a little bit of a motivational, speech I'm trying to give here, and just put a bit of perspective into things. Let me know what you guys think. Is it better to be the hunter or the hunted? But in the case of when you're chasing, or when Man City is the one chasing you, which position is better to be in? Man City seem to prefer being the hunters. From Arsenal's perspective, do we rather, would you rather want to be the hunter or the hunted? It sounds like a silly question, but it's a real one when the hunter is Man City. So listen, support the boys on Sunday. Get in the comments and let me know what you think about the discussion about the hunter versus the hunted, historically what that meant for us and what it means today. And yeah, we'll continue to roll on. Continue to like and subscribe for us as it really, really does help. We'll see you guys on the next video. It's been your boy CJ from the Gunner's Corner, and I'm out, folks. Later.